Yeah, there's a funny story to that. When I got accepted to OULA, I told my dad, who is, I'm actually fourth generation OSU, and I told my dad, I called him up and I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to grad school. That's great. I'm going to grad school at OU." And he goes, that's not so great, Code. And I said, "Well, it'll be okay. You know, I like the professors and everything." He said, "No, every time Bob Stoops is out on that field, all I'm going to think about is a little bit of my son's tuition went to paying that guy. And I kind of hate that." So yeah, actually, he did not talk to me for 6 weeks. That was the last conversation we had for a while. So yeah, yeah, it was really funny when I got asked to. Well, I didn't get asked to speak. I volunteered to speak after my speaker rudely got a job at Kent State and forgot to tell everyone. But when I got this, I was like, "Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll be great, no problem." And I was telling some of my referee friends last night. Like I said, I referee soccer. If you see me here, that's because I'm not on a pitch somewhere. I was telling some of my friends, "Yeah, I've got a big lecture coming up tomorrow. It's going to be great." And they're all like, "Dude, aren't you scared?" And I said, let me put it this way. This is something we can relate to. I've been on a field where I've had 65 parents, 2 coaches, and 44 sets of eyes that are all convinced I am the dumbest person on the earth. I said, I'm fixing to go into a room with a whole bunch of people who don't know that I'm the dumbest person on earth yet. So, yeah, pretty easy stuff. Like Robert said, this is a talk about LID. How many people here have sat through an LID talk? Just about everyone, right? Guess what? You've had 101. Welcome to 201. I'm not going to cover BMPs. I'm not going to really talk about pervious surface. We're going to talk about some kind of big, broad ideas. I'm also going to talk about Edmond because, let's face it, I'm here to brag a little bit. So really what I'm going to talk about is how LID is not uniform. Pretty much you've all been handed the same thing, that the BMPs are the BMPs, and that's what we do, right? Not true, but we'll get into it. By the way, these are hand-drawn by me. Thank you. I am a graphic artist on the side. I'm a busy guy. So the heart of LID, here's a little bit of background. Low-impact development was first really conceptualized. I technically think it was conceptualized in the 60s. I've read stuff. But EPA will tell you 1990. Wow, I misspelled that. Get used to it. Prince George County, Maryland, in 1990. In 1999, EPA came out with their first publishing on the subject called Low Impact Design Strategies, and it was developed for the Prince George County. Prince George County, Maryland, is actually in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. You'll keep hearing this. Chesapeake Bay keeps coming up over and over and over again when we talk about LID. That's because that's where the EPA is coming up with all of these ideas, because the Chesapeake Bay is so impaired. It's been polluted for ages, and they're just now getting to the point to where I think it was President Obama, 2 years ago, came out and said we're going to do something about this. The idea was to develop a stormwater program that closely mimicked the natural pre-development hydrology on the design site. I can't remember who it was yesterday that said pre-development is not what it used to be back when the Indians were teepeeing on it. Pre-development just basically means before you broke ground, let's leave it the way you found it. Essentially, LID uses designed measures to influence the path of stormwater on a built site. And most LID goals are to infiltrate the stormwater and minimize impervious surface and diffuse the velocity generated by runoff. That's kind of stock and trade, the 3 main areas that your LID BMPs will get into. Moving on. This did actually come out of the soon-to-be, fingers crossed, Edmond's LID manual. but yeah, this is in there. So the big picture, right? LID in concept is parts being greater. LID is not a concept of parts being greater than the whole. And that's why I think when we get up here and we tell you guys about BMPs and BMPs and BMPs, we're not giving you what's actually going on. What we really want to see on an LID site is a concentric series of things working together to create a system that is going to help us get back to that natural hydrology. So people often make the mistake, like I just said, that here we're going to just throw a few measures at it. Bang, it's LID. That's like, here's a baking analogy. Let's throw some flour and some sugar and an egg in a pan. Bada bing, we've got cupcakes. You don't have cupcakes. Like I said, a rain barrel alone, LID does not make. Instead, a true attempt at LID means bringing together the bigger pieces to form a larger system. And actually, a lot of people don't get this. When I was in school, when it was brought up to me, hey, that's another misspelling. I told you to get used to it. Kid with dyslexia and ADD up here giving a talk. It's going to get sketchy. Yeah. Truly, what we learned in school was LID is a community-based project, right? It is not just about single developers or municipalities or home builders. It's about all of these people coming together to build something that is actually going to be sustainable for the environment. That's a concept that you will not get in 101. We don't cover it, not nearly enough. But it is. It's all of us working in conjunction with one another in order to promote something that we know to be good. God, I sound like a cheerleader, don't I? This little info, hey, it was like that in school too. This little infogram at the bottom is just kind of talking about the progression of the parts not being greater than the whole. So you start out with something small, a little rain garden, a little bit of disconnect. Now we're talking about vegetated swells. Now we're talking about smart grading, pervious pavements, skinny streets. Oh, I don't like talking about skinny streets. It all goes into a bigger design, right? We're getting from the smaller to the bigger. So, soft versus hard. Carrie talked about this a little bit. That's one of the main things in LID. I will say that there are some people who I would call fascistly soft engineering people. I'm one of those people. It takes both. We're going to have a little hard engineering. We're going to have a little soft engineering. Soft engineering is basically using organic natural systems in order to promote that natural hydrology again. Here's my little thing in there. The caveat is that sometimes nature needs a helping hand from technology. You'll see it in my presentation about Edmond, especially our stormwater garden. We did a lot of blending. We had a lot of work with Garver, our engineer. We went back and forth. It's a nice blend. I like it. It's very homogeneous. Hard engineering is what we typically see today. It's basically let's concrete the world, right? It uses hard infrastructure. It takes runoff quickly off the site, like we've talked about. It increases volume, lowers aquifer storage, algae growth occurs, increased infrastructure repair costs. Those are the bad things. The good thing is it's really efficient. So my two slides here, you've got the stormwater coming down, it infiltrates, you get a nice little aquifer, that's the blue stuff. And then you get on the other side, you get the concrete line, you get fast water, no infiltration. It's just all going into a stream that later I have to go look at. So here's the Bible of LID, right? And when I say Bible, it is the Bible, the first place you need to go look if you're all interested in LID, is the EPA's Low Impact Development Design Standards. It is the place that we started, and frankly, it's the place that I end. Every time I have a question, every time I'm thinking about something, this is usually the first place I go. It's online, it's free. It is horribly ugly, but that's kind of the design kid in me. I look at some of the EPA stuff and I'm like, boy, you guys could use a graphic designer, but sorry. The next place that's a really good one, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. They're the practices of low impact development. Again, it's free. Again, it's online. You can download it. It's a really easy read. Again, it's really ugly. Let me introduce you to the pretty girl at the prom. This is low impact development and urban design, a design manual for urban areas. This is put out, I think, by the University of North Arkansas or the University of Arkansas. I cannot remember. The guy who was the head of this project came and did a talk at OU while I was there about transit-oriented developments, but we got into a lot of LID stuff. It is really good. It is, pardon a little crassness, it is sexy. Very gloss, good, very visual. And like I said, ADD, I'm very visual. But it is really good. It is in a book form. I think you can still download it online. It's a PDF. Get it in the book form. It's better glossy. And then here's the nerdy guy that's sitting on the wall in the back at the prom. This is Leopolds Hydrology of Urban Planning. This is, engineers love this. I do not, but it's good work. I mean, it's useful. And it was written back in the 60s, so, you know. So, next topic, challenges and myths. This is my favorite topic, and this is the one that if you all know Nancy, this is the exact reason why she didn't see this before it left the offices, because she had been like, that is not a myth. That is for real. And I'm like, So, yes. So, here's our first myth. This is, and Carrie talked about a lot of this. I'll go over it too. Public codes and product restrictions, like we were talking about with porous pavement, things like that. There is a lot of stuff in our cities, whether we did it on purpose or not, that is in the way of LID. A lot of those things are as simple as product specs that don't really meet yet, to street widths, things like that. Weird things that you don't really think about, like house setbacks. All these things can be roadblocks to LID. Most municipalities are actually updating their stuff for LID. It's slow in coming. Edmond is a good case in point of this. We still have some things that we're slowly but surely trying to change. One of Nancy's favorite sayings, and like probably the second thing she ever told me when I got in that job, is she said, honey, guess what? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Nothing could be like more true about municipal life. The main cause of the trouble is material standards and changing drainage provisions. The material standards, sometimes it's hard to say this, but sometimes there really is not good hard science there yet. There will be. That being said, it doesn't hurt you to not try. So it doesn't hurt for you to try. So what can be done? If you're a developer, or if you're a concerned citizen, or you have a group of concerned citizens come to you, what can be done? Working with city officials in the front end to recognize areas of trouble in your site plan. We see this over and over and over at the City of Edmond. Somebody will come in with a fabulous idea. I will sit down with it and I will go, finally, LID, this is amazing. And they didn't talk to anybody at the front end. They had their LAs come in and put in great stuff and it looks so good, but it doesn't meet spec. And it's all because they didn't talk to somebody in the front end. That is the biggest thing. If you have a designer who is thinking about doing LED, who's thinking about doing anything progressive, get city buy-in first. Interagency and community cooperation tend to make situations run smoother. That means get building in on it. Building's going to have to inspect this stuff, right? Engineering on it, planning on it. They all need to have eyes on this thing before you want to get it out. Makes the whole situation easier. Sometimes at the city, you'll need to have a champion. If you come to Edmond, look me up. I will be your champion. I will carry that banner. If not, create one. Get somebody fired up about LED. Sell them on your project. Sometimes it's hard to be a good salesman. A lot of you guys in development, you're already good salesmen. You can totally convince one of us to take you and just get you through all this stuff so that you can get your project built. Here's another challenge or myth, call it what you want. A different aesthetic, or what I like to call, did they forget to mow? We get this a lot. Most people, it is something that we've all got brought up with. It is that June Cleaver, let's have a 1950s perfectly manicured front yard, the nice, Chinese hedges, like trimmed just perfectly. It is essentially an English manicured landscape, right? That's what we all want. That's what, if you're selling houses, people are going to ask for. It's changing a little bit. The aesthetic is definitely changing. Thank you, Colorado. The problem is that most of these plants that lend themselves to being manicured aren't native. They're not good. They're not good as far as water tolerance, heat tolerance. You're going to have to baby them. It's really a problem. As far as low LID goes, it's really, really hard to make them work in an LID fashion. So landscape architects like myself and other people, we come up with this great idea, like when we're in school, we all kind of walk around with our chest bowed out and say, well, we know better because we're designers. We know what looks good, and what looks good is, you see that grass right there with all its frilly fuzzies? Man, that is gorgeous. That is just God's creation at its best. And you take somebody who is fixing to buy a $250,000 home and say, hey, we want to go put all this fuzzy, fuzzy grass right in your front yard. They'll go, you're not serious, right? It is a hard sell. But that being said, there's different ways to go about it. Like I said in the beginning, LED is not uniform. We don't have to be the fuzzy, fuzzy grass. There's lots of ways to get around it. There's lots of plants that look manicured, that you can make look manicured, that you can develop. Don't be sold on the idea that native is the only way to go. Native is not the only way to go. There are lots of plants that are non-native that will work just as well in a rain garden here in Oklahoma. No problem. So, but with a different aesthetic, when you're doing LED on a big project, community buy-in is the key. If you're going to do a development, you got a whole bunch of lots, you got a whole bunch of open space. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do LED. It's going to look very natural. People are going to have to buy in, right? People are going to have to be sold on the idea that this natural, just kind of out there aesthetic may look like a pasture, but it's doing something, is actually what they want. So can anybody pick up at the bottom which one of these sites is not LID? Any idea? They're all LED. Yeah, that's true. All the way from the very fuzzy to the very manicured. It all works. Oh, this is a good one, and it is actually my favorite. Wildlife. People who live out in the country know what I'm talking about. If you have wild open area anywhere near your house, you are going to get varmints. Period, full stop. People often say, if we put in a vegetated swale, we're going to get one of these fellas, right? I especially like if we put in a vegetated swale, we're going to get rats. You're going to get rats whether you have a field next to you or not. It's how you live, right? Don't leave the birdseed out. Oh, quick story. The honey get your gun thing. That's my baby sister. She's always been very Barbie. And when she turned 20, something weird happened. My parents, they live in Houston, and she decided that she really liked cowboys. I mean, really liked cowboys. So what does she do? She goes out and she finds the just biggest, dopiest bull rider she can get. And she's like, I'm marrying that one. So we get Colby, right? And Colby's like, yeah, I'm going to move you out to the country. So Barbie's going to the country, right? Barbie moves to the country. And she's complaining to me. She's like, we live in South Texas and we don't have central heat and air. And I was like, what you going to do with the cowboy? Sorry, hon. So one day she's walking out to take her garbage out. She steps off the porch, and who does she get greeted by but Mr. Possum? And she said, I was really proud of myself. I wish you could see who she is. She's kind of short, blonde, kind of squeaky. And she says, I was really proud of myself. I just politely turned and I said, Colby, sweetheart, honey, get the gun. There's a possum on the front yard. And she said, you'd have thought that I said, sweetheart, Christmas is on the front yard, because Colby came running out of the house with his 20 gauge, cocked it once and went, bang, yay! She was like, boy, country living's so great. So, yeah, it's good. So, although a component of LID is habitat retention and creation, it's never been actually proven that there is a problem with pests coming from LID. I probably think that's because nobody's ever done a study. But an improved local ecosystem does promote things like fishing and birding. That's me putting a shine on it. Tiny lots. It's hard in Edmond. Yeah, I'm fixing to talk about Edmond. It's hard in Edmond to tell somebody, hey, we want you to pay us a lot of money for a, half-acre lot, when you can go down the road and buy a full acre for the same. Just because we want to do something that's a little bit sustainable. It's a hard sell. But believe me, like I said before, LID is not uniform. It is limited only to your designer's imagination and will to think outside the box. So the thought exists that LID will rob your development of lots due to the different BMP structures and the space that it takes to restore that hydrology. It is patently not true. It is, like I said, limited only to your imagination. As stated before, LID has no uniform. All you have to do is figure out the problem. I liked this image. It came out really tiny, I'm sorry. But these are, good full-size lots. All they did was they pushed a little bit at the back, and now it's got a little drainage easement back there, and it's got a little open space. It looks really good. I like it. That came out of the North Arkansas thing. There's case studies all over that will show you the ingenious ways to make LID lots be okay. That's a good quote. We're going to live on top of our neighbors. Yeah. In fact, that's one of the things that my mom said when she was when I was telling her about LID stuff. She was like, "Oh, you'd have to live on top of your neighbors. I don't want that." Yeah. Pleasant woman. Did I just throw my mom under the bus? Sorry. LID costs too much. Again, patently not true. EPA has done 1.5 billion studies, case studies over and over again that will show you exactly how LID comes out ahead of regular stormwater engineering. It's been shown over and over and over again. Again, it's only limited to what your designer and everything can do. Sometimes it has to do with how you can get the product. I understand. Sometimes that's a limitation, but it can be done. This manual right here is the EPA's Reducing Stormwater Costs Through Low-Impact Development Strategies and Practices. Very good resource. If you haven't looked at it already, pick it up. It's full of case studies. It's actually a pretty interesting read. Yeah. It was actually designed for developers and builders as a see you can do it cheaply primer. So let me talk about Edmond for just 1/2 second. What am I doing on time? Okay. So Edmond, my home sweet home. The main thing of LID and Edmond, and this is something that Nancy's bought on, we're all bought on, planning's in on. You know, we won't have a lot of people out there doing it until we show them that it can be done. So we want to show people, here's how you do it. So our way of promoting new concepts to the public, developers, builders, is not only can it be done on your project, but we can also show you that we're trying to do the same. So we have lots of city programs, lots of city projects that we want to show people over and over again. Here's how we're doing it. We're doing it too. Let's all do it together. Our education plays a pivotal role. Again, Carrie was showing the Beaver Place that had the signage. Anytime we do an LID project, anytime we do anything stormwater, we put a sign on it. We own it. Sorry. We want people to get we want them to understand every bit of what we've done. So although our projects and different things are really varied across Edmond, we all come back to the same thought, that promotion through demonstration. And then I'll take you through all these. The first one is our Bikum Ruttengen Xeriscape project. This was actually a cooperation between OSU and the City of Edmond. OSU brought out a whole bunch of their LA students. They did the design on it. Bikum Ruttengen actually features a large xeriscape garden. It's full with educational plaques and everything else. It also features, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I've heard, one of the, if not the state's biggest cistern, rainwater cistern system. All of these stormwater pipes, I think except for one, is tied to this gigantic cistern. They've got 2 back there that they're finally filling up and using for watering not only the xeriscape stuff, but also they're going to be pumping it back to the arboretum that we have in the back. It's a gorgeous park. I'd say go out anytime. Give us a call. We'll take you out there and brag. Then our 2012 barrel giveaway, rain barrel giveaway. The City of Edmond, we had a rain barrel giveaway. A whole bunch of us got together with Edmond Water Resources. Edmond Water Resources has a 5-year water resource plan where they were looking at how much water Edmond City residents were using for irrigation, and it is just enormous. So they're doing a plan, and they've got money set aside to where they can promote some of these smart water stuff. So we're kind of working hand in hand with Water Resource. They love what we're doing. We love what they're doing. So they actually initiated the Rain Barrel Giveaway project. They funded it. Planning and sustainability actually did a lot of the legwork. We helped promote. So to date, we had 380 rain barrels given away out of 645 applicants in the City of Edmond. So we had a good showing. Chitwood Farms Conservation Area. This was actually before my time, but it was actually Ashley that got this done. But it's a big conservation area set aside on an old hay farm in the east side of Edmond. It's actually, they left a large portion of it. They let it go back to native. And they use it as not only for their walking trails and stuff like that, but they also use it for a little bit of rain infiltration and stuff like that. The area is actually a community feature, and I've talked to some people who live out there and people who live near there who will actually go there to walk. They love it. I mean, it's really essentially just a prairie, but people love that for whatever reason. They really like that aesthetic. It works for them. So this kills me. The Edmond PPW demonstration area. You want to talk about in-house talent and where you can find it. that was this project with one guy standing up here. Um, about 4 years ago, the city came to Garver Engineering and said, hey, we want to do a porous pavement / rain garden LID demonstration out beside of our building off of one of our parking lots. And there was a guy who had just gotten out of college at OU who was working with AutoCAD, and somebody knew that he was over there and said, hey, you want to come give us a talk about LID because we have no idea. I was actually that guy. I went over there, gave him the talk, sat down with him a little bit, said, hey, yeah, this could work. Let's do this, let's do that. Little did I know I would be working for the City of Edmond in about a year's time. And when I got there, I sat down with Nancy, and she was like, oh, we have this, you like LID stuff. We have this really great demonstration garden. And I was like, that's funny. I worked on that. So yeah, I've kind of been on both ends of this project. It's a big demonstration area that we're going to use for our builders and also the public. We've got, and this is again where we talk about the hard infrastructure, or the hard engineering and the soft engineering meeting. We've got an area that we are going to have parking lots on that's going to be pervious pavement. We have horrible infiltration on this place. So what we did was we're going to cut it down. We're going to amend the soil. We're going to run pipes through it, and we're actually going to use it for filtration. Some of those pipes will just go to the storm drain. Some of them will actually be piped into the rain garden itself. We also have areas where whatever runs off of the porous pavement will actually run down reels into a rain garden area that will also be diverting water off the building into the rain garden as well. The rain garden has a mix of native and non-native vegetation. That's me as well. Because there was plants I liked that I knew worked and I wanted to see in there, and I got people going, well, don't you want to do all native? Why? Doesn't need to be all native. That doesn't make it bad when it's not. The rain garden, again, horrible infiltration on the thing. So what we did is we're going to put a different media under the soil, or we'll put a different media on top of the soil, and then we also have a piping structure. It's really not technically a rain garden. It's more of a filtration garden. But it's going to look really nice, and I invite you guys probably in the spring to come out and take a look. It'll be done probably in December. I think we're breaking ground on Tuesday, right? Yeah, we're breaking ground on Tuesday. Come out. It's going to be really pretty. And it's got a great designer. I mean, I'm telling you. Good designer. Self-promotion. Never been bad about that. And then Edmond LID's manual. This is, again, my baby. I got the idea to do a how-to design manual. I wanted to get something out there that I could get into developers' hands when they came to me and said, hey, we're thinking about doing a project. I want this to be in their hands and say, give it to your engineer, give it to everybody, look through it, tell me what you think, and then go from there. It is a how-to through the design process. It also features a discussion about general ideas. The design process, I'm going to do a sample project for a city set, a portion of road, Broadway extension. And then we're also going to do some case studies. So look for it soon. Gosh, I hope. So finally, the prime movers. This is just a little bit of conjecture on my part. Who is going to make us do LID? Where are we going to get the motivation for LID? There are lots and lots of different thoughts on the subject. So, number one, easy, the feds, right? EPA is going to come down. I'm hearing Nancy's voice in my head again. She's going, it's coming down the pike. It's coming down the pike, Cody. You just wait. Look at what they're doing in Chesapeake Bay. For years, EPA's been a will they, won't they, will they, won't they waiting game. Speculation about the likelihood of whether they'll force LID into gospel is pretty common. Honestly, before it's been a matter of political will, I think with the election, I don't think that EPA thinks that they have a mandate to do whatever they want. So I don't think that they're going to come out in the next year or two and say, hey, guess what? We're only going to do LID. I don't think that they're going to do that to people. I think the TMDL stuff bit them really hard, and I think that they're going to ease it in. It'll be like a slow push with a hypodermic needle. They'll just really slowly poke it in. In the end, again, I do not actually think that the EPA is going to be the real driving force behind LID. That leaves the question, who do I think is going to be the... we'll see. So, developers and builders. I love this quote, mainly because I wrote it. The developers and builders are creatures of the market, and they are blown by the political winds at every turn. So, basically, you guys who are here, you have a lot of people that you're answering to. You're answering to the government. You're answering to shareholders. You're answering to the people you're going to build for. You've got a lot of hats you're wearing. You've got a lot of push and pull. But you guys are also, I feel like, the creative force behind LID, and you are going to shape its face. It's not me. It's not the EPA. It's not DEQ. It's you guys. You guys will give the face to LID. It's not the builders who are. It's not the people who are buying it who are going to be asking for it. That are going to shape its face. It's you guys. So, and to date, like we've seen at Trailwoods and other developments, builders have been the driving factor in LID implementation. I don't think that there are too many cities other than maybe East Coast and West Coast that are really hardcore on you're going to do this. It's been guys who have a little bit of vision, who are on the forefront, who want to see something different, who are getting out there and thinking, well, let's just see, you know. It's that kind of individualism that fires me off. I read a lot of Ayn Rand, sorry. Lots of people just went, Ayn, what? Sorry, design dork, Fountainhead. So, the last prime mover, the public. And as we know, demographics and taste change rapidly. But have you talked to anyone recently that is under the age of 30? They all have this really good grasp of environmental concerns. I hear my son talk. He's just fixing to be 5. And the things that he's talking about, I had no idea. You know, when I was 8 or 9, we had Captain Planet. For those of you who remember Captain Planet, there's like 6 of us in here, and we're all like, yeah, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, we had Captain Planet, and that was our first deal with sustainability. My son, on the other hand, he's been getting it since he's 2 or 3. Dora the Explorer, you know, Diego, all of these shows, they get it. These people are rapidly, I'm not talking about 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds are not buying houses, thank God. But the people who have grown up in this type of environmental concern awareness, these people are growing up, and they are starting to become people who have a stake in the market. These people are also going to be the ones who are going to be making housing choices really very soon. So the question is will their beliefs and their ideas and their knowledge translate into housing choices in the future? I believe it will be the case. I believe that sooner or later there's going to be more people knocking on your door going, are we doing something cool like, you know, is there going to be buffers? Or they're going to be looking for places like that. They're going to be looking for places with green space. They're going to be looking for places that give a little nod to LID or stuff like that. You'll see it more and more and more as people kind of start going that way. The market's going to pull, is going to pull people that way. And that's honestly what I believe. So here's a good quote, one of my favorites. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. So I hope you've all got a lot out of this and not just had a good laugh at the dumb kid up here bouncing around like he's manic. And if you have any questions, please hit me with it. I probably ran long, didn't I?
If you work it right, can't the whole be greater than the sum of the parts?
Do what now?
If you work it right, can't the whole be greater than the sum of the parts?
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the things that I'd like to see is a big system that works regardless of the parts, you know, that works interchangeably with the parts.
Any other questions?
Thank you. You mentioned that the City of Edmond was working on its manual.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any ideas of when it would be released? And the second part of the question is whether the City of Edmond is going to encourage LID development in its manual or force it.
Second part first. The City of Edmond does, by our Title 23 or 22? 23. By our Title 23, we've actually passed code language that says we promote LID. What that means, it's vague. I don't know. But we do promote it. Second off, when is the manual going to get done? That'll be as soon as I get less busy. As soon as I hope to have it out sometime in the next year. I've got a lot of momentum on it, and so usually people leave me alone. I put my earphones in and my hood up, and I get on the computer and I type away, and everybody's like, "What is he doing? Does he even work here?" I'm working on it, so it'll be done soon.
One of the needs we have in LID is technology transfer and to get information across. So I don't know what the mechanics of this would be. One suggestion would be that you have a field day or field half a day or something sometime next year when some of these things come to fruition. Mm-hmm. What we've done here today is just the start. Carrie had a lot of the things that we've picked up. You've got a lot of good ideas. But we need the technology transfer and to show what actually happens, what actually works and what people like and will accept.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I agree.
Final question. Manchester United should be wearing red, shouldn't you?
I left my jersey at home today. I have my Ryan Giggs. Oh, go ahead.
Cody, hi. I'm Adam Ward with Ideal Homes. Actually, I work in the development department at Ideal, so I've had a little bit of involvement with the Trailwoods project.
Yeah, cool.
And very true to what he was saying. I know that there was a lot of work on the front end with the city of Norman, with
Right.
the engineers, SMC, and with Ideal Homes on the development department.
And you love working with the OU landscape students, right? Because they're great.
And actually, I'm an Oklahoma State alum as well in architecture department, so I can kind of relate a little bit to some of what you're talking about.
Architecture kids.
Anyways, my question to you, a couple things here. I mean, outside the city of Edmond, you talk about Edmond is promoting LID. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing as the biggest potential roadblocks? Is it more developers and not wanting to spend the cost, or is it some of the regulations in the city codes, kind of a combination? I mean, what do you see as the biggest roadblocks on that?
Honestly, in my opinion, it's two things. Public codes can get in the way. The good thing about public codes is there's a little thing called variances. We can get around them. And there's political will, especially at my city, to see some of these projects go in, but they want to see them done with a measure of scientific reliability behind it, good solid engineering behind it. So then the next thing that I would say that's holding it up is imagination. I mean, honestly, I see guys come in. We see projects come in all the time that have a lot of potential. That I can see what would be cool, but I can't sit down with an engineer and go, "Oh man, this would be totally awesome if you did this." I just have to like mark it up and be like, "Okay, done, out the door." I think it's going to take a lot of it's going to take somebody like like your boss getting fired up and wanting to see something done, and getting some people around him that are good, imaginative people, and getting that idea sold. And there's more roadblocks than that, honestly, but those are the two big ones that I see.
Any other questions for Cody? All right, Cody, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, guys.